It started with a name. Not a speech, not a public statement. Just a name, spoken quietly behind palace walls, and somehow that was enough to trigger tension no one expected this fast. Because after nearly 4 years away from Britain, one person is suddenly stepping back into the picture, and according to insiders, not everyone is prepared for what that could mean. Why would a return visit create this much anxiety? Why would it reportedly put Prince William at odds with his own father? And why, of all people, is Princess Kate said to be caught in the middle of it? Those are the questions surrounding what some royal watchers are already calling Meghan Markle's homecoming. And the deeper you look, the stranger it gets. For years, the royal family has lived under a kind of silent fracture. Ever since Prince Harry and Meghan Markle stepped away from royal duties in 2020 and relocated to California, the relationship between the Sussexes and the rest of the monarchy has been anything but stable. There were interviews, accusations, books, documentaries, and perhaps most damaging of all, personal wounds aired publicly. It wasn't just distance, it was fallout. The kind of fallout that doesn't disappear because time passes. And now, according to new reports, King Charles is preparing to welcome Harry and Meghan back to the UK, for what insiders are framing as a major step toward rebuilding fractured ties. At first glance, that sounds almost hopeful. A father wanting peace with his son. A king trying to mend what was broken. But inside the palace, that hope may be costing more than anyone expected. Because according to Heat magazine, Prince William is reportedly furious over the move. Not uncomfortable. Not cautious. Furious. And that changes everything. Sources claim William sees this invitation not as reconciliation, but as betrayal. Think about that for a second. For William, the wounds weren't just public embarrassment, they were personal, deeply personal. Harry's memoir Spare didn't just reveal royal secrets, it exposed private conflicts between the brothers, painted William in a harsh light, and reopened years of tension the palace had tried to contain. And for William, that damage didn't end when the headlines faded. Apparently it stayed. Which makes this next part even more explosive. According to insiders, just hearing Meghan's name is enough to set him off. That's not a small emotional reaction. That suggests something unresolved, something still raw. And if that's true, then King Charles extending an olive branch may have done more than reopen communication with Harry. It may have reopened the entire family wound. But William isn't the only one struggling here. Because in the middle of all this is Catherine. And her position may be the most complicated of all. Sources say Kate feels stressed and conflicted over Meghan's return. That wording matters. Conflicted suggests she isn't operating from pure resentment. In fact, insiders describe Kate as someone who has tried to stay forgiving. Someone willing to move forward. But forgiveness and trust aren't the same thing. And according to those close to the family, Meghan's return makes everything worlds more complicated. Why? Because Kate is balancing two impossible realities. On one side is her instinct for peace. On the other is her husband's visible anger. And that's where this situation takes an unexpected turn. Because this isn't just about Meghan anymore. It's about William and Charles. Father and son. Future king and current king. And for the first time in months, insiders suggest that relationship is under real strain. That's the twist many didn't see coming. Most assumed Harry and William were the central conflict. But now, the deeper fracture might be William versus Charles. And it makes sense when you think about the pressure. Charles has spent the last year trying to stabilize the monarchy amid health concerns, public scrutiny, and questions about succession. His approach has reportedly become more reflective. More focused on legacy. And legacy often pushes people toward reconciliation. Especially with family. But William's perspective is different. He's not looking backward. He's looking forward. As the future king, William may see stability as protecting the institution at all costs. And from his point of view, bringing Meghan back into the royal orbit even temporarily, could feel like inviting chaos back into the system. That's the contradiction at the center of this story. Charles may see healing. William may see risk. And Kate, she's stuck trying to absorb both. But there's another layer here that makes Meghan's return even more significant. This isn't just any visit. It's her first trip back to Britain in nearly 4 years. That alone changes the atmosphere. Because absence creates distance. But presence creates confrontation. Rooms that haven't held these tensions in years will suddenly have to. Faces that have avoided each other may have no choice. And in royal life, every glance matters. Every silence matters. Every seating arrangement matters. That's how these stories are read. And behind closed doors even more. Some royal analysts believe this visit could be Charles testing the waters for something bigger, a longer-term thaw between the Sussexes and the monarchy. But if that's true, William's reaction could become the biggest obstacle. Because if the future king is totally against reconciliation, as sources claim, then any peace Charles creates now may not survive the next reign. That's a powerful implication. It means the monarchy may be split not over whether Harry and Meghan can come back, but whether they can ever truly belong again. And that question doesn't just affect family dinners. It affects the future shape of the royal institution itself. What role does forgiveness play in monarchy? What happens when personal pain collides with public duty? And what does it mean when the king and the future king no longer agree on how to handle the same wound? For now, Meghan's homecoming remains just that, a return. No official reconciliation. No grand family photo. No public sign that everything is healed. But maybe that's what makes it so tense. Because sometimes the most dramatic royal moments aren't the ones announced on balconies. They're the ones unfolding in private rooms, where old wounds are waiting, and one unexpected return can change the balance of everything.